Hi guys, welcome back to my channel.
You can move away and forget, but I can't. You don't know the people here anymore.
Yeah, believe me, I do.
I haven't heard from you in months.
There is a strong correlation between bad parenting and being raised by an NPD family structure. If you want to understand a narcissism that's associated with women, you have to get to know covert narcissism, because this is what women tend to fall under a lot. Are there women who are grandiose type? Quite like, yes, they are, but they're not the majority. Because women, we tend to be more emotional, we have more hormones than men. We're definitely more on an emotional side. We're gonna leverage our manipulation in a different way to how a guy would. Covert narcissist, she's gonna test you. She's gonna do it like hidden, covert. That's what covert means, it's hidden. Often with covert narcissistic mothers, a lot of people on the outside world are shocked to know that these mothers are abusive towards their children. They create triangular relationships, so they'll put their own children against each other. They'll say private conversations about their children to other family members to kind of gain like sympathy.
Narcissistic, covert narcissistic mothers will also start to notice, and this is how you know it's a covert narcissistic mother. They will also start to notice that as they share this information about their child with other people, they're starting to get attention. So it's not uncommon to see a narcissistic covert mother on social media saying, "Oh, my heart breaks for my ADHD child. Life is so hard for them, and they're if anybody wants to know why they're so sensitive, it's because of the ADHD, and I'm really doing everything I can to help the child." No.
So the main traits of a narcissistic parent is as follows. Need to be the center of attention. So you could be telling your parents something quite vulnerable about yourself, and they'll somehow manage to bring it back to themselves. So it's always going to be about them. They are immature and selfish. So specifically, if you want to like approach a narcissist parent, like you did something to me, they might blow things up. They might just overreact because they don't know how to self-regulate. They don't know how to just react calmly and just say no. If they are into vulnerable victimhood narcissism, they might cry. It's always going to be about them. It makes you think like, forget the topic we were talking about. You address someone, for example, like, you did this to me, and they blow things out of proportion. They cry. They just make such a big scene.
Asking such horrible, morbid questions, stirring everyone up, staying out all night.
Look, Mama, please, stop, Mama. Look, stop, I'm sorry.
She never leaves without her phone.
Well, you know, she might have her other one.
What other one? Be 300 people and no one.
It's a bit like that. Like, I'm sorry I even approached you. They blame others for their own behaviors. They show little concern for others' needs and feelings. And this will look different if you have a vulnerable, covert narcissistic mother. If you have a grandiose narcissistic father, it will just manifest itself in different ways. They are obsessed with maintaining the family's image. This is very, very common. Yeah, just portraying an image. That's not reality. And that's fine, you can do that. I get, like, you shouldn't be out there, like, being vulnerable and telling people, like, things that too much information. I get that. But when your life is burning, like, your house is literally burning from the inside, and you're just so obsessed with, like, showing the outside world, like, my life is great, my daughters are well behaved, you know, no, like, focus on that family life, focus on fixing that rather than showing people that your life is great when it's not. They are allowed to be emotional, but you are not. That's a really good one. They become annoyed when asked for attention. That's another really, really good one, because for them, again, that's another type of narcissism. Like, it's enough. I provided for, you know, shelter for you, food. And personally, for me, I'm not so against that. I don't think you're going to produce really bad results with children if, you know, like, there's worse, right? They are codependent. They publicly embarrass you. They have poor boundaries, overstep yours, and that's because they're highly entitled. They are extremely jealous, possessive of others. They view you as a source of validation. Ugh, I hate those types of people. They play favorites, so obviously with children, you'll know who they favor. I have 2 children and I could never ever put them against each other. But narcissistic parents also will play this disgusting guilt manipulation game. They'll tell their own child, and I've seen this with aunties, they'll like, you'll regret it when I die one day. And their child is like 12-year-old girl. Like, why are you traumatizing your daughter like that? You'll die. One day I'll die and you'll regret not doing this for me. And it's just like, that's so evil. Imagine like if the parent dies right there and then. Do you really want your child to grow up with guilt? Like thinking like, wow, she was right. Like, I hate that. I've seen it so much as well. Or I've seen like maybe they don't hit the child, but they'll smash dishes, they'll make a scene, they'll scream.
How do people become narcissistic? Where does this pattern that's hurting so many people come from? Narcissism and narcissistic personality styles largely reflect developmental issues. Okay, so these are issues that sort of develop through childhood. The narcissistic personality that emerges in adulthood largely reflects what happened to the person as they came up through childhood into adolescence.
Raging, like, why is my daughter like this? And it's like, get the mirror and show the mother why her daughter is like this. I do have a strong opinion about mothers who complain about their rebellious daughters and so on, because I do believe, like, what have you done? Now, I know this might come across as so arrogant, and I don't mean to come across this way. Of course, sometimes you can do everything right and your child just turns out to be rebellious. But like one of my friends, for example, let's call her Emily. When she met me a long time ago, we've been friends for so long, she was like, you're so proud to be Moroccan. Like, she's Moroccan as well. Why? Like, she didn't understand it. And then we later realized the reason why she wanted to be anything but Moroccan is because she associated her disgusting childhood with her identity, her Moroccan identity. And she just had to learn, like, yeah, maybe her family were like chavs.
Security staff.
And I'm like, you should be proud of yourself, Emily. Look how far you've gotten. Like, you did this all by your own. You taught yourself how to be the best version of yourself by yourself. And like, you can't blame yourself for being the way she was, because that's what she was taught as a child. And the most disgusting thing that she has to go through is her mom will literally use her childhood against her. Her mom's quite immature. The series called Sharp Object is such an amazing starting point just to understand what an NPD family structure looks like.
You all right in there?
Where are my clothes?
Which one fits better?
Well, none of these are gonna work.
Oh, just try one.
What's wrong?
Your sister's being stubborn.
Can you have her go wait in the car?
Why? I have no idea why.
Emma, just go wait in the car.
Jesus.
Why? Can you have her go wait in the car? Emma, can you just wait in the car?
Camille, just let me see you. I have got to get home, for heaven's sake.
It's what you wanted, right?
It's worse than I remember.
You weren't there at the end.
So it's over?
Yes.
Hardly matters. You're ruined. All out of spite. You want to know who your father was? That's who he was. All spite. I'm glad Emma saw.
She's so cringed out by her covert narcissistic mother, because like, I think people in general, they hate people who play victim. Adora, the character of the mother, the covert overbearing mother, she plays that role so well. And also the stepfather, who's the enabler. It's such a good study case to look at that series and be like, right, okay, so that's what covert parenting, specifically mothers, consists of. If you're a parent and you're quite narcissistic, yeah, the child is definitely going to feel neglected, dismissed. And one thing that really breaks my heart is when the child has to take on the role of parenting the parent.
People think that narcissists are evil. They think that they are these creatures that need to be stricken from the whole universe. And I just don't believe in that. I don't believe they're evil. I don't believe that they need to die. I don't believe that they are horrible people that should be cast out of society. I think that narcissists experience trauma in childhood. In fact, that's when narcissism is created. It's created in childhood from trauma. And narcissists, when they grow up in adolescence and in adulthood, they develop narcissistic personality disorder. And they are walking around in a constant trauma response so that everything they do to hurt the people around them actually has nothing to do with intentional wanting to hurt people. They are doing it in the form of a trauma response. And so for you, I want you to learn to put the fire down, because you can follow them around for their whole entire lives. They will just continue to burn you. And it's not because they're an evil person that wants to do wrong to you. They are trying to fill a void in their life that is never fillable because of trauma that they've experienced in their childhood. Put the fire down.
We've all had childhood trauma. That doesn't mean that we get to treat other people badly just because we've been through that. Or it also doesn't mean that just because someone's narcissistic and they behave like this and I know what they've been through in their childhood, that I have to just walk around eggshells with this person and just, no, honey, we've all been through the same thing. We still have self-agency.
I appreciate you not telling the detective about him.
But, darling, he'll find out.
She tells her, thank you so much, for not sharing something vulnerable about her own child to the guy that she's currently dating, or it's just so intense.
Narcissism is a trait, while NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, is a pervasive pattern of behaviors that impacts all areas of life and functioning.
There's a huge difference between narcissistic traits and narcissistic disorder. And we all have traits of narcissism. The people that I think use narcissism in a negative way are those who want to take, but they don't give. Or they expect everyone to just give them things and support them. And when it comes to that other person's turn, like they're not there for you. They're nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be heard.
Indeed, it is the case that narcissists are rated as more attractive. In other words, the higher your level of narcissism, it seems the higher other people rate you in terms of your attractiveness. An interesting question is why. It may be that narcissists are willing to invest more in their physical self.
People are misconstruing what narcissism really is, or they view narcissism in such a one-way narrative, and it's just not true. You can be narcissistic and completely neglect, right, how you look, or just not have an interest for that, but you focus more on education, and it's part of your personality type to just degrade other people. You think you know more than other people. If someone didn't know something, rather than being like, oh, this is what it means, you humiliate them and degrade them. For your own sort of benefit, to feel good about yourself, that's when narcissism, I feel like it's evil.
Let's talk about the 4 different types of narcissists, okay? Now remember, all of these people will be lacking empathy, they're going to be entitled, they're going to be grandiose. It's just that some of these will be manifested a little bit differently in them, how they show them. So number 1 is our grandiose narcissist. This is the classical one, okay? This is the narc that is very open in your face. They're arrogant, they're going to be entitled openly, they're going to talk themselves up, they're going to have a very toddler-like way of talking about themselves. A normal, healthy person will completely spot them and walk away, when they will be talking themselves up. All of their achievements, all of their successes, and so on and so on. Now, this narcissist is going to be very egotistical, very entitled, very attention-seeking, and will need that external validation, just like any of them. Number 2 narcissist is the malignant one, okay? So this narcissist has all the qualities of a grandiose classical one, but they're also actually really mean and they want to do bad things like lie, cheat, steal, and so on. Now, they're not quite a psychopath because they still have a little bit of remorse, they still feel a little bit of shame, but not much. They will do bad things. They will do malignant things to others because they enjoy it. Our 3rd narcissist is our covert narcissist, or the vulnerable secret narcissist. So they actually lack that social skill, the charisma, charisma, the charm, and they always victimize themselves, okay? They will talk in a way that the whole world is out to get them. So they're very, very manipulative, very passive aggressive, and basically they will victimize themselves. They will be the vulnerable one, and you're going to need to save them. And they are also grandiose, but again, it's a hidden trait in them where their grandiosity is going to be manifested with a sense of vulnerability. And the fourth one is our communal narcissist, okay? So this is the narcissist that is out there saving the world and putting it on social media. They want everyone to know how amazing they are, all the charity that they do, all the amazing things that they do for the society. They are putting it everywhere. It's out there so that they get that external validation. This narcissist lives for the external validation. Whatever they're doing is not selfless. It's all done for recognition because that person lacks empathy. They are entitled and they just need the external validation just like any narcissist.
If you have a narcissistic personality type, then what tends to happen, you can go from grandiose and narcissistic personality types when, you know, you're like, especially if you've got good things going on, you've got your career, you have your car, you have your home, so you're like, you feel like I'm that girl. So of course you're going to be grandiose in your ways because you have things to affirm it, and I see the logic behind that. But let's say that same person lost all these privileges, they were let off work, whatever happened, things just didn't go right for them anymore. What they will do, because it's part of their narcissistic personality type, they will just shift from one narcissistic type to another. So they won't be grandiose anymore. They'll become the vulnerable victimhood type, the failure to launch type, the ones who project their anger onto other people because they don't have good things going on for them, or because they feel inadequate.
This whole idea of I'm above narcissism.
No.
I can't believe somebody would be somebody like this.
No.
I think they are some of the biggest narcissists in the world.
They are. In other words, if I write about aggression or I write about narcissism, every single human being that has ever lived is inside that circle. We all have that quality. Okay, so I have a definition of narcissism that's a little different from other people's. Normally we think of a narcissist as someone who loves themselves. And I'm actually saying that a narcissist is a person who doesn't love themselves sufficiently. In order to get through life, we have to have a degree of self-esteem. If we don't have that kind of bedrock from within, we constantly need attention and validation from other people. I need attention, I need to stir trouble. I can't get it from myself, I have to get it from other people. That's a classic, what I call a deep narcissist, and that's why they cause so many problems in life.
I do believe vulnerable narcissism is probably quite detrimental for the person suffering. Because woe is me mentality is just, you're always going to be a victim. You can find every point and drag it on like this happened to me, you know, just become a victim.
So today I learned that it's toxic for moms and daughters to become best friends because the daughter is supposed to be able to be a kid and to not have to fulfill the same reciprocal needs as a best friend. And like, do you agree?
I used to feel really negative towards my dad, but as I grew up I realized like he is who he is because of his childhood and so on, but also he apologized to me, and how can I had that closure. But I can imagine if your parents has never said I'm sorry, they owned it, you know, they didn't dismiss you and say like I forgot, like oh I don't remember that. They just said I'm sorry that happened to you, I'm sorry I did that, I was also learning myself, I'm not gonna make excuses, I'm sorry. They just said that to you. You would feel bad about yourself. And yeah, like the trauma that I went through with my dad, I only look at the positives and it made me who I am today. I can stand up for myself, honey. No, like but I also do have some critique in me, like it's in me, I feel it, you know, especially my hormones, like I said. And 3 days before my period, I'm just negative. Like I don't care. Like, why is this person making me angry? But it's about having dialogue with yourself and, you know, being self-aware and so on. So guys, just to end this video here, I'm going to read out to you positives from an article that I will link in the description box as well. These articles, points in the articles that I found so true, so helpful. When it comes to being raised by a narcissistic parent, whether it's the grandiose, you know, over-the-top father or the covert, sneaky, plays victimhood type of mother, it can teach you things. Not everything has to be looked at through a negative lens. Growing up with narcissistic parents is never easy, and the adverse effects of being raised by one are numerous. Spinning this negative situation into a positive one is not possible for everyone. That is very true. However, resilient children may be able to see the positives in their experience. Children of narcissistic parents have a personal understanding of narcissism, an ability to recognize manipulative behavior, and a heightened sense of independence. If you can break away from narcissistic influence, seek the good to minimize the past. I love that. So here's the possible benefits of having narcissistic parents are better awareness of personality disorders. Now, this is true, but not always, because it takes time for the child to realize that they're actually part of an NPD family structure. Ability to distinguish words from action, that is so true. You can kind of just see through BS. You know when someone, their word is their word, and you know when they're just kind of like just trying to sweet talk you, manipulate you, Increased thoughtfulness. And this goes into narcissistic and selfish parents want you to share their wants and values. So often with narcissistic parents, the sick thing that I find the most is that they'll see you an extension of themselves when you're doing good. Well, depends on which personality type, right? Within the narcissism spectrum. But there's also the types that you're not doing well, I'll disown you now, I'll discard of you, I'll dismiss you. To me, as a parent, my role is just to be the caregiver they know, love them, support them. I can still have discussions with them, but I never want to come across as controlling, and it's their right to think how they think. You have to go into the world and be your own person. I'm not here to control my son. Narcissistic mothers, some of them will like compete with the son's wife, girlfriend is sick. Improved sense of self. In similar fashion, narcissistic parents may think they know you better than you know yourself. Without their influence, you can identify who you are. Independence. Narcissism stems from a need for control. Once you find freedom from your parents, you will never submit to a similar situation again. The autonomy you discover will be compelling and rewarding. Now, that's obviously true to a certain extent. We know that because, yes, you can be this person like confident on all these things because of your childhood, and take it on the positives of narcissism. But you also can fall into the vulnerable victimhood and possibly even be in a position of the enabler in your relationship, or just be that person who is always giving, and they're just not receiving, and that's not fair.